one of the most anticipated, I think for a lot of people out there, the most anticipated movie of the year is probably Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. Mine is obviously Dune 3, but for a lot of people, it's The Odyssey. And they assembled an incredible cast, and it's Christopher Nolan, and would he be able to bring this thing home? And now we heard some good things. We heard some really, really good things. And they did something kind of interesting. They decided not to have any social media influencer screenings. Now, a lot of people, you guys, you probably saw that being talked about a lot. What a lot of people misinterpreted that as is that they weren't doing any early critic screenings. No. They still did the screenings for the critics. They just didn't do what's come of fashion in the last few years is having specific screenings for social media influencers. Right. And I could care less whether they give those people screenings or not. But they still had the critic screenings. And well, the critics have now screened The Odyssey. And the response isn't good. The response is, this is the leading contender to win Best Picture at the Oscars this year. And remember, this is not from shoe TikToker Jimmy B. This is from people from Variety.
Is he real?
No, I just made that up.
Oh. He's dating
It's my Tilly. It's my Tilly, whatever, Norwood character. So this is from people from IndieWire, from Variety, from The Wrap, from like actual, the big swinging critics. And over at the Hollywood Reporter, they're talking about the Odyssey first reactions are staggering and Nolan's biggest film to date. Here's what those who saw Christopher Nolan's epics are saying about the film. So, all right, let's get into it. Time Out wrote, dense but accessible, packed with career best work from the stacked cast. Samantha Morton is extraordinary. It's a dizzying mix of craft and spectacle that's built to last. Seen it twice. Took so much away both times. A chilling vision of brutalized men seeing themselves in the eyes of women. A study of leadership and an old school sweeping adventure tale. Even the Cyclops got me in the feels. There's even a few laughs too. Go see it twice. IndieWire wrote, The Odyssey, a surprisingly natural and less despairing Oppenheimer follow-up about a man haunted by defying the gods and dooming civilization. This one fights to avenge his own hubris. IMAX, obviously immense. Too clunky to be S-tier Nolan, but the last act rewards the journey. Variety wrote, I've seen Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, and it is an astonishing achievement, a triumphant, spectacular epic. The performances from Tom Holland, Matt Damon, Anne Hathaway, John Leguizamo, Robert Pattinson, and Lupita Nyong'o are genuinely grand, and for some, truly the best performances of their career. Christopher Nolan is a visionary, and The Odyssey is a work of art. The battle scenes, especially at Troy, are breathtaking. It's an incredible epic. The Independent wrote, Nolan's biggest film to date. This film has about triple the number of huge set pieces than any of Nolan's previous films, and every single one of them is breathtaking in their own way. The Odyssey, Nolan showcases visual trickery in a way you've never seen a few before. The only criticism I have, and it's a good problem, is you're often left wanting more from each set piece, and it certainly goes your way into height of the rewatchability factor of the film. I also can't quite remember a film having such a stacked cast where everyone delivers. Special shout outs to Tom Holland in his best role to date, Hamish Patel and Samantha Morton, who damn well steal the show with the few scenes she's in. The Hollywood Reporter writes, film editor Aaron Couch, been seeing his movies in theaters since Memento, and after 25 years, The Odyssey gives us a first, a fleshed out horror sequence directed by Christopher Nolan. Digital Spy writes, The Odyssey is a staggering, packed with intense and spectacular set pieces, often backed by a soul-rattling score. It builds to a final act that's as good as anything Nolan's done. Purists might balk at the adaptation changes, but as an experience, nobody is doing it like Nolan. There's more. So we got critic Eric Davis. Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey is an absolute triumph and a crowning cinematic achievement from one of the great filmmakers of our time. The production design is incredible, the action is breathtaking, and the scale is unlike anything he's done before. What really surprised me is how much he embraces horror. Anne Hathaway is incredible, Matt Damon is excellent, and Tom Holland continues to prove he can do just about anything. But Robert Pattinson absolutely stole the show for me. Batman. Look, it's a must-see cinematic event of the summer and quite possibly the year. I can't wait to watch it again. The folks over at Gold Derby also threw in a few that weren't there. Yeah, here we go. So Ann Thompson, she's one of my favorite film journalists, writes, my high expectations were met at Chris Nolan's stunningly mounted The Odyssey in IMAX 70mm. Matt Damon could win Best Actor, and a bevy of supporting thesps and noms will follow. The best picture to beat. Salazar wrote, The Odyssey is a staggering achievement. Oh, I think we already read that one. Yeah, there we go. Joshua Rothkopf wrote, The Odyssey is staggering, earthy, ghostly, weighty, touched by humor and grandeur alike. It's pure cinema. Obviously, the story is about returning home, but in a larger sense, this is also a return home to the robustly entertaining action movies that cinema was invented to tell. Then I'll leave it on this one. Peter Bradshaw writes, Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey is a colossal origin myth story of post-war delusion and a loss of innocence witnessed by the dead. Review later. Anyway, it just goes on and on. This, we talk sometimes, guys, about, reviews that come out for movies, and maybe it's got a high score, but it's like, yeah, almost everybody liked it, but they liked it. They didn't necessarily love it. Sometimes it's like, yeah, a lot of people disliked it, but they didn't necessarily hate it. This is people jumping out of their ass. Like, this is people like going, oh my God, this is one of the greatest things I've ever seen. Like, I jump out of my ass all the time. It is like words like perfection, words like pure cinema, words like what, and again, I want to reemphasize, this is from the big heavy hitters of the film critics that did this. This isn't social media influencers or stuff like that. These are the same people who came out not liking Supergirl, but they go and watch Christopher Nolan. And Rob, I'm telling you, this is again, and this is some of my favorite film journalists. Some of my absolute favorite on here are just like losing their minds over this movie. And I am salivating. I'm seeing this movie in 9 days. 9 days I'm seeing this movie. And my countdown clock has begun. I cannot wait to watch this. Anyway, you heard these reviews now coming out about The Odyssey. What's surprising you? Are they better than you thought they'd be? Are they right in line with what you thought they'd be? Is there anything in there that you weren't expecting to hear? What did you think?
Well, no, I mean, C-Note, you don't bet against him, just like you don't bet against Jimmy C. I mean, even my least favorite Christopher Nolan movie is probably Tenet, but it is incredibly rewatchable. I'll watch that movie just as an exercise in marveling at all the shots that he got.
Yeah.
And I think that one of the things, like all of this, I love alternate versions of Shakespeare. Like, I loved Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet. I loved the Richard III that Ian McKellen was in, the one that Ethan Hawke was in. I do not watch Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet and go, yeah, this isn't period accurate. So I've all I know is that I'm going to get a phantasmagoric Christopher Nolan shot entirely in IMAX version with this heavy hitter cast. It's a myth. It started out as a myth. It's always been a myth. So the same way that I would approach, if Baz Luhrmann's doing Romeo and Juliet with modern pop songs, I'm in. The swords become guns. Do you bite your thumb at me, sir? I loved that movie. I loved Richard III. Now is the winter of our discontent. And it's set in a World War II style fascist regime. I don't sit there and go, it's not period accurate. I know that Christopher Nolan is going to make a myth writ large on the big screen in a way no one's ever seen before, entirely in IMAX. And every time I watch these recently released behind-the-scenes videos when they show where they're taking the cameras and listening to Tom Holland talk about they couldn't do close-ups because they have a blimped IMAX camera, and they had to, like, Anne Hathaway's over here and they're over here, and you have to do it through a mirror so it looks like they're looking at each. I'm looking at this technology and all the stuff that's happening in camera. There is no reason not to think that this is going to be a staggering cinematic experience from top to bottom. Like, we're getting a filmmaker who used his clout over the success of Oppenheimer, that was more successful than anybody ever believed. And the one thing that he wanted to do was this. And we have seen filmmakers certainly failed going after their favorite projects. But this is Christopher Nolan. This is C-Note. This is the man that doesn't even have a smartphone. So if he's going to go after something, it's going to consume the entirety of his existence as a filmmaker. That alone means I'm excited. Like my excitement has always been off the charts for this project, because I know whatever we're going to get, it's going to be staggering. So I think the only thing I'm going to think about this movie is that it's too short, because it should have been 5 hours long.
I talked to one of the people who saw the movie. And only one. I only talked to one of them. So this is only one person's opinion. So keep that. This is just a single person's opinion. But, you know, they go like, you know, I thought Oppenheimer, they said, was Nolan's best work. You know, it won Best Picture, nearly joined the $1 billion club. Like it was phenomenal. It was great. It's not my personal favorite Christopher Nolan film, but, you know, for this person who's like, I thought, you know, to me, Oppenheimer was his crowning achievement. It was his best film, won Best Picture at the Oscars. He said, I think this laps that. Like, he didn't just say, I think Odyssey is better than Oppenheimer. He said, I think this laps it. And like, that is, it's just absolutely stunning hearing like the things coming out about it. And yeah, I mean, look, go ahead.
Sometimes you ask me because I'm the resident father in this group, and we've mentioned that Gen Z really loves Nolan. So yeah, I'm only bringing this up because this happened over the weekend. So we have tickets. We had tickets to go see it at the IMAX, but it's the single laser, smaller format IMAX. My kids agreed that they wanted their first experience of this movie, Gen Z, to be at Universal IMAX, where it's the
real IMAX
70 millimeter print, full scale, largest screen possible, and
15 perf 70 millimeter.
Yeah, the 15 perf 70 mil. That was literally a family decision to push off the movie 2 weeks because there were some openings to go there. That they were willing to watch it 2 weeks later than normal to get it in that format for the first time.
That's great. That's so cool, though.
You've raised your girls well.
But the thing is that I'm not sitting here like, oh, you got to see 15 in film over digital. Like, I don't do that. Like, this is organic. That's
well, I would say the fact that this is entirely shot in IMAX is going to change the experience, meaning you absolutely really need to see this in 15 perf 70 millimeter IMAX, because it was literally designed from top to bottom to see that.
Like, well, I mean, again, it's the first feature film, the first big Hollywood feature film ever in history to be shot entirely in 70 millimeter IMAX. No film has ever done this in history. And I mean, that's why I don't go out of my way to go to IMAX. I mean, I love IMAX, don't get me wrong. But this is the first movie that Ann and I have gone like, oh yeah, our first screening of this has to be in IMAX, like true 70 millimeter IMAX.
Right.
And this is the first time we've ever done that. And Thursday afternoon, man, I'm going to go see this thing on Thursday afternoon in full crazy IMAX.
We're doing the same thing for Dune 3. There's just certain movies you see it in that format.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, some people say, what about Batman? No, he shot parts of it in IMAX. There have been other movies that have absolutely shot segments in IMAX, but this is the first one they've ever done in full. And if you watch any of the behind the scenes things, that's a pain in the ass, man, because that rig, that camera they had to work with was monstrous.
Not just that, but the performers are going to they had to reproduce their performances because those cameras are so loud, you can't pick up the audio of the performance on the ground.
Well, but they've done That was the thing.
Crazy.
They built a blimp, and the blimp is so big. So this is the first time they built a blimp, because that's one of the problems with IMAX is you can't record dialogue because the cameras are so loud. So they made this blimp that it's now quiet, but you now can't shoot traditional over the shoulders or close-ups because the camera's so big, so the actor can't get near to the camera. So they had to use a mirror system to shoot close-up conversations where the actors were literally, instead of being like this, they're like this, and they're being bounced onto each other's views through a mirror. So they weren't even directly acting across from one another. They got used to it, but watching like Anne Hathaway talk to Matt Damon about this, I've been fascinated. I would dare say, not that anybody pays any attention, but the press junket of all of the interviews that all the different outlets have been doing with the actors on this are some of the most interesting and informative marketing interviews I've ever seen, because they get into what it's like working with these cameras and what it was like shooting. And rather than, I had so much fun making this movie, the process, and it's absolutely fascinating. I can't get enough.
All right, guys. Question is for you. Oh, by the way, before I sign off, I am so excited about later today looking back into the comments section of this video and seeing the Lupita Nyong'o is black. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see those. That's going to be great. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? I mean, the actual real full-fledged big outlet movie critics have now gone and see the Odyssey, and they are raving about it. Like, it's not, yeah, this is good. It's like, no, this is perfection. This is epic. This is like the biggest thing, what a summer spectacle should be. Anyway, hopefully I like it, because there have been some things that everybody loved that I didn't, but I think this is going to be amazing. Guys, question is for you. Whatever you think about this whole thing, jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts.